Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to record this meeting for all of the advisors that signed up but are not here yet. So that way they can watch the recording after the fact. Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome. First off, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I know how full your calendars are, especially this time of year. So the fact that this many fraternity and sorority advisors all over the nation chose to spend an hour with us tonight truly means a lot. My name is Dr. Mike Ailon. I am the founder of Greek University. More importantly, I'm somebody who has spent many years working alongside advisors in moments of growth, transition, and at times real crisis, helping campuses think strategically about culture, care, accountability, and leadership within fraternity and sorority life. The purpose of our meeting tonight, it's called the Advisor's Toolkit for 2026, is very simple. Really, we want to give you a clear, efficient look at what is actually working right now on college campuses and how you can leverage proven programs, interventions, and resources as you plan for the year ahead. You are going to hear from our full Greek University team tonight, speakers and consultants with diverse backgrounds, disciplines, and lived experiences. Each of them works directly with campuses and also headquarters staff all across the country, and they will share a concise snapshot of the programs and interventions they are delivering right now, the outcomes advisors are seeing in real time, the issues they're being asked to address most frequently, and how their work can support your goals for 2026. So think of tonight as almost a curated menu, not something you need to adopt all at once, but a way to identify the right tools, the right voices, the right partnerships that align with your campus culture, your challenges, and your priorities. So whether you're preparing for spring new member trainings, onboarding of new officers, navigating conduct concerns, or responding to mental health needs, or you're just simply trying to be more proactive instead of reactive, our hope is that tonight gives you clarity, confidence, and options. At the end of this session, you're going to know exactly which programs might fit your campus and how our team can support you for a long term partner heading into 2026. I do have something special for everybody on the call tonight. If you book any Greek University speaker or consultant before the end of 2025 and you are on this call, you will get a $500 discount on any programming or consulting service. So you are getting something that nobody else is getting. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work that you do every single day. And thank you so much for trusting us with your time. So let's get started. Our first speaker is Ms. Tish Norman. She is a multiple Speaker of the Year award winner at Greek University, a skilled edu-trainer with instructional experience at every level. Tish has experience working with leading brands in the career development industry, primarily focusing on belonging and interpersonal skills. Tish has delivered over 1,000 paid talks throughout her career, having spoken in 46 states and 14 countries. And Tish maintains a very active speaking schedule, keynoting at dozens of leadership conferences and campuses every single year. Let's hear it for Tish.
So if today were your last day at work, if December 18th were your last day working at your university, what would your students say that you gave them? If today were your last day at work, what would your students say that your university's fraternity sorority life gave them? What would they be walking away with right now? Would they say it was a home away from home? Was it an amazing support system? Did they get friends for life? Was it a safe space? Or was it more than they bargained for, bigger than their wildest dreams? Well, everybody, I am Tish Norman. Everybody in the virtual world say, hey, Tish.
Hey, Tish.
Hey,
Hey, Tish.
hey, hey, everybody. It is my honor and privilege to be here tonight. The Avengers have been assembled. Okay, we are all here tonight to get on one accord to see how we can better serve you so that you leave your institution as well as your students, two things, different and better. It has been my honor and privilege for almost the last 2 decades to speak to universities. And if I haven't been to yours, I'm probably on my way. So, in my first minute, I'm going to talk to my students. In my second minute, I'm going to talk to my advisors. My student experience is leadership is like an onion, it has layers. Leadership can be isolating. Leadership can be lonely. Leadership at the same time can be very rewarding. Just 2 months ago, I did a 2.5 hour training right here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech in the sorority house, not the first year, but the second year, where we really took a deep dive in how these women in their particular chapter can leave their chapter different and better. And I told them there that leadership is like an onion has layers. And I used the president of the chapter as an example because when it was time for me to speak, that little girl who stood 5 foot 2 inches tall, her name was Kit Kat. That was what her mama named her. An Asian girl, cute as she want to be. Her name was Kit Kat. When I tell you she harangued 200 women so that they were sitting silent and ready for me to keynote, that is what leadership is personified. Is it always popular? Absolutely not, but it definitely is rewarding. So in leadership is like an onion. It has layers. We deal with Bass and Regio's transformational leadership. We deal with Dr. Muhammad Khalifa's culturally responsive school leadership. And then, of course, that's my timer, y'all. I got to stay on time. And then we deal with, as the last one, inclusive leadership. For my advisors, I'm going to leave you with this note right here. It's the winter, right? I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I grew up with snow. All of my advisors right now, I want to let you know that if you are living in some snow right now or not, you are the lead sled dog in the Alaskan Husky race. I love those dogs because they've got those bright blue eyes and they've got that furry white coat. But guess what the lead dogs do very differently than the other dogs? The lead dogs call, they communicate, they take a risk, and they set the tone for the rest of the race. But guess what? They get the snow in their face. They get the slush in their eyes. They get that brisk wind that cuts through their nose. So leadership can be rewarding, but we know it's also hard. So what I've done, everybody, right now, I have put my LinkedIn in the chat. I would love to be able to have a 15-minute happy call with you to see how we can come to your campus and leave it two things, different and better. My name is Tish Norman, and I approve this message.
Thank you so much, Tish. Amazing as always. Well done. Very, very well done. All right. Our next speaker is Sarah Colazzo, a nationally recognized speaker, author, and social worker whose work sits at the intersection of leadership, mental health, and authentic connection. Her why is simple but powerful to ensure that no one has to struggle the way that she once did. In 2025, Sarah earned her Master of Social Work and went on to found Love a Stranger, which is a groundbreaking peer support organization that operates the only text-based eating disorder helpline of its kind in the entire country. She was recently spotlighted on the news for that, gaining national media recognition for its innovative, human-centered approach. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm also going to start a timer because I am a South Jersey Italian that could ramble for the entire hour and a half. So if you see me glancing down, that's what I'm doing. Dr. Ayalon, I love saying that, said, my name is Sarah Colazzo. I am the body image and self-love speaker for college campuses. I have combined my lived experience with my graduate degree and now my career to remind students that what they look like is the least interesting thing about them. That is the phrase that I've coined and am currently trying to get trademarked. I was in your students' shoes not too long ago, and I like to think that that's my superpower. You know, I was the president of my sorority, Zeta Tau Alpha. I was on my D1 college dance team. I had a 3.94 GPA. I was Superwoman. I was the girl that had it all together, and behind closed doors, I was struggling with an eating disorder, but I would have never let anybody know that. In that moment, I didn't need more events to make me feel like I belonged. I didn't need another sisterhood activity. I needed to know that I mattered and that I was loved, even on the days when I didn't think that I could love myself. I needed somebody to come in and to speak up and stop all of the normalized disordered eating habits that I was seeing every day within the chapter walls. I needed a culture change, so that's what I decided to become after graduation. My talks are not statistics driven at all. I meet students where they are, and that's really important to me in my career as a social worker, as a CEO, as an author, and as a speaker. I provide students with real-time tools that they implement immediately. I have them take out their phones and do things that'll literally impact their life as they're walking out the door. I facilitate childhood healing and reflection exercises, and it's really important for me to give a moment of clarity for students to allow them for pause. To allow them to pause. They are all navigating relationships and jobs and academics and friends and leaderships and all of these things. It's really important for me to focus on them as individuals and as humans. The space that I create allows for the students that are struggling to be seen without feeling exposed. If somebody is not struggling, it allows them to feel better equipped to support either sister or brother that is. And I give permission for everybody to be human. I really think that vulnerability is a superpower, and I empower leaders to lead as humans, not as titles. While my work is predominantly focused on body image, disordered eating, and eating disorder behaviors, the tools that I teach are really universal. They can be applied to anybody struggling with anxiety, depression, substance abuse, anything going on your college campus. It's really important that everybody is able to walk out of my talks feeling more secure in themselves, feeling like they've given themselves a long overdue hug, and allowing them to really see themselves as they truly are. Our students are on their phones. They really are. And the content that they see is not random at all. There's a bunch of studies going around with everything going on in the world that social media algorithms push more body focused and disordered eating content. I'm so sorry to people that are more vulnerable, and our students are vulnerable. And I am here to help bridge the gap between the crisis and getting students to their counseling centers and helping them get to all the services that you guys offer. So thank you. I also approve this message.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We appreciate you. Our next speaker is Dr. Louis Profeta, our 2024-2025 Speaker of the Year. He is a nationally recognized award-winning writer, a TED Talk speaker, and an emergency physician at St. Vincent Hospital of Indianapolis, which is a level one trauma center. He has cared for more than 160,000 patients. Following the success of a Sunday talk on sex, drugs, drinking, and dying, Dr. Profeta has been invited to speak all over the country on this topic. Dr. Profeta has told hundreds of parents that their children have been killed over his career, and he brings this reality to campuses all across America. Dr. Profeta.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry to be a little bit of a downer in terms of the talk that I give. I had a college student one time shadow me, and he asked me, he goes, what's the worst thing you've ever seen? And the worst thing I've ever seen is the look on your mother and father's face when I tell them you're dead. And I've done this hundreds of times in my career. I've been an ER doc and a level one trauma center going on 37 years now. And I realized that there had to be sort of a paradigm shift in the way that young people look at their own mortality. We always talk that young people think that they engage some of the reckless behavior, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sexual assault issues. They engage in behaviors that are detrimental to their health because they'll say, well, the parents will say, well, they don't think it'll happen to them. No, that's not it. They don't love like adults. And I try to sort of switch the tables on them, put them in their parents' shoes, show them a world that what it looks like without them in it, with their sudden death. We talk about fraternity brothers, we talk about sorority sisters, but there's no bigger bond than the actual biological brothers and sisters and mother and father that these young people have. And trying to get them to refocus and to realize, to understand their own mortality. What becomes clear when you talk to tens of thousands of college students like I have is that they do not have a good understanding about the physiology of how how drugs and alcohol can cause their death. They don't understand the lethality of these compounds, especially in the days of fentanyl. We're seeing so much fentanyl, and it's the number one cause of death in college students today. And, my goal is simple. I do not want to go into that quiet room. I do not want to kneel in front of a grieving mother or father. I do not want to pick up a phone and tell some parent 100 miles away that their children has been killed and listen to these screams over and over on the phone and watch them throw themselves on the ground in the most unimaginable despair. There's nothing that can happen worse on a college campus than the death of a college student. And that is my goal. Simple, pure. It's just to keep these young people safe, keep them from dying. And I know it works because I get parents that will call me. They'll say, no, you gave a talk at Mississippi State, or you gave a talk at Virginia Tech, and my kid is alive today because of you, because their fraternity, their sorority took them to the hospital where in the past they would have watched them. And then when they got to the hospital, they had to be put on life support. And I hear these stories. And another thing that'll happen is after my talks, I'll get a lot of more than once, I'll get students that'll reach out and say, hi, I'm in crisis. I need help. And I'll get on the phone and I'll call their parents and we'll have, honest, clinician kind of parent talks and get these young people back out of college and get them to somewhere safe. And realize I'm only 1 degree of separation away from every emergency department in America. So, I want to put myself out there not only to be a speaker, but if you have some questions, just give me a call, reach out. Michael can connect me. If you're having issues on college, on your campus with one student, with a house, but my goal is simple. One day, I'm going to get old. I'm going to die. Hopefully, I'll make it to heaven, and God will put His arm around me and point to some kid that was in the second row of a talk at, Bama or Florida State, and say, "Hey, see that girl right there? She listened. She's now grown up. She's got kids. She had a career. She got married. She listened." So I'm not your typical college speaker. I will be giving a keynote at AFLV this year. Also, I think one of the big sessions at NGLA and also speaking at SGLA. So if you're there, please stop by, introduce yourself. And I'm an open book. I'll answer any questions for you. But man, let me tell you something. Greek University has an unbelievable collection of speakers. If you're not, looking at me, look, everybody here on this screen tonight, the talent is immense. I encourage you to reach out to them, and we're doing our best to try to keep you and your fraternities functioning and safe. But thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Profeta. Very gracious of you. Thank you so much. Really well said. All right, our next speaker up is going to be Dr. Christina Luna. She serves as the Associate Dean of Students and the Director of Greek Life at the University of Miami. She is the primary advisor to the Association of Greek Letter Organizations, Panhellenic, and Honor Societies. Dr. Luna is a valuable contributor to the field of fraternity and sorority affairs with a specialty in Latino Greek letter organizations and interests in hazing prevention as well as leadership curriculum. She also serves as president for the National Association of Latino Fraternal Organizations. Welcome, Dr. Luna.
So, hi everyone. Good evening. I'm coming to you today. Well, first of all, I'm one of the new kids on the block for Greek U. And I throw up the U because, yes, I work at the University of Miami, but I'm coming to you today from Texas, my home state, visiting family. So, I'm one of the higher education professional student affairs here on the roster. So, wanted to share just a little bit about my background because my strengths in my opportunities for speaking, for engaging, and offering consulting services when working with your chapters or councils and doing deep dive sessions. A lot of it comes from my work experiences and some of the volunteer experiences that Mike referenced. So, and then of course my passions and interests and where my walks and journey of life have brought me. So this is just a little bit about me and how I came to be and who I am and what I'm doing today. So a little bit about my programs. I do have a doctorate in organizational change and leadership from the University of Southern California, Fight On. And so with that, one of my passion lies in helping our students navigate this leadership journey through the experience of fraternity and sorority and what it looks like to really identify what challenges they're facing, what they think are problems or needs or areas for change within a chapter culture, within a council culture, so they can then identify a plan to activate change. My research, as you can see down on the bottom left topic, I used John Cotter's model, 8-step model to implement change. And that is something that I feel is an effective way to help guide students into helping navigate long-term change, and that renewal and commitment to our organizations for sustaining them on our campuses. Lifelong engagement is a passion for me. I joined 22 years ago and have been an active member ever since of my own organization. I'm a founding member of my chapter, which was the first chapter in Texas of Sigma Iota Alpha, Latina-based sorority. And I have been an active alum in many capacities, have been national president, have been an inaugural vice president of risk management. And my experience is what influenced my career in student affairs with this special interest population that we call fraternities and sororities. And that's why I do the work that I do. I believe in the potential of our organizations. We took an oath to be better than average, and how we help shape our students to activate that, to live that out, not only while they're undergrads in their daily lives, is really important, and to uphold the pillars of what it means to be a member of a fraternity and a sorority, right? And help them connect the dots to the transferable skills that these organizations help provide us, that they will be able to use in life after college. Because, they don't have the aha moments until years later that they're like, oh, things I experienced managing a chapter, conflict, managing a large account, recruitment, will all play a role in some way, shape, or form later on in life. And then recruitment. How do we sustain our organizations? And being a member of a culturally based organization, for us, that is really important, especially after COVID. Our organizations have struggled to rebuild from the COVID experience. And so amplifying the legacy, recruiting with purpose and pride, and helping them change and think a little differently is something that's really important to how I help help the students navigate trying things differently and from a different lens, and opening that pool of applicants that they see on a college campus versus limiting themselves to just a certain population of students that they think quality over quantity is just a concept, right? And sometimes a little too arrogant concept, that I think we can flip that around and be a little more positive in our approach. But yes, I do student conduct at work. I'm an associate dean. So that is where one of my areas of strength also lies when I do some support to chapters. But thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Luna. We appreciate that. All right, our next speaker is Dr. Jason L. Meriwether, an experienced leader in higher education with research interests in hazing prevention, enrollment management, student retention, digital learning tools, adult student success, and social media management engagement. Jason is the editor of Dismantling Hazing in Greek Letter Organizations, Effective Practices for Prevention, Response, and Campus Engagement. He is also the 2025 recipient of the Hank Newer Anti-Hazing Hero Award. Jason currently serves at Sam Houston State University as Vice President for Enrollment. Dr. Meriwether.
All right, good evening, and I really appreciate everyone for being here tonight. I want to share with you an excerpt from the conversations we're having with students that I truly hope are relevant to your campus and to your community, and something that you see can be helpful as you navigate Greek life. So this is directly from a slideshow. In this bed, you see a young man named Jonathan Silas. Jonathan Silas is in the hospital bed because he was pledging Kappa Sigma fraternity at New Mexico State University. During this time of pledging, a young man named Miguel Altamirano, who is the chapter president and pledge dean, comes in with a loaded, yes, loaded Beretta 9mm, and requested Silas be a part of a loyalty oath to the chapter, not the organization, but to the chapter. And obviously, Silas freaked out when he saw the gun. A tussle happened. And here is Jonathan Silas in his hospital bed. How does this tie to your students? You will be amazed, shocked, dismayed, and even sometimes disgusted as you listen to your students unpack what happened in this moment. Let's go back in time in history, and what you will find is this actually started over 20 years ago. And my research tells me that this began with a water gun that evolved to a super soaker, that evolved to a BB gun, and now here we are with Jonathan Silas shot SHOT with a gun. Unpacking this conversation with your students goes into an almost Dave Chappelle when keeping it real goes wrong. And having the students discuss what happens if someone tried to check Miguel Altamirano with this firearm. What happens when someone tries to check him, but maybe they couldn't? And we go through a number of real life cases like this with students to unpack, to have conversations, to lead us to that concept of peer and behavioral intervention. We have adopted the Allen model, which I talked about in my 2020 book, Dismantling Hazing in Greek Letter Organizations. And we adapted the Berkowitz model of sexual assault prevention through peer and behavioral intervention into hazing prevention through peer and behavioral intervention. We use these conversations to frame the discussion of life versus tradition. As opposed to a thou shalt not, we unpack hazing prevention from the standpoint of reality, practice, and fact. And when each of us are at home with our families and the students are left on their own in that moment, we talk to them about how to check, stop, and shield that bad behavior, all to the effect of dismantling hazing one moment at a time. I welcome the opportunity to have this conversation with your campus, and I look forward to unpacking it with each of you.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much for the important work, Dr. Jason Meriwether. All right, up next is Dr. Sheena C. Howard, an award-winning author, filmmaker, and scholar. In 2014, Sheena became the first Black woman to win an Eisner Award for her first book. It's called Black Comics, Politics of Race and Representation. And if you don't know, the Eisner Awards are considered the Oscars of comics. In 2021, Dr. Howard was the editor of Why Wakanda Matters, what Black Panther reveals about psychology, identity, and communication, featuring insightful perspectives on cognitive dissonance, intergenerational trauma and resistance, social identity, collective identity, and cultural and racial identity. Welcome, Dr. Howard.
Hey everybody, listen, I gotta break it up, okay? So before I go into what I do and who I am, please in the chat, please type a one if you've ever seen a Marvel movie. This is a softball. Type a one if you've ever seen a Marvel movie. One, one, one. Okay, okay. Now tell me who your favorite superhero is. Who's your favorite superhero? If you are in a position to type Spider-Man, yes, Super Black Panther, let's go. Wonder Woman. All right, fun fact about me. I have written Black Panther, I have written Wonder Woman, and I've created a new character for Marvel. Now, the question is, how does that help your students? And the answer is, it doesn't. I just wanted to get some engagement going and give you a fun fact. My name is Dr. Sheena Howard. I am a professor in the Department of Communication, Journalism, and Media at Rider University. And I have three programs that I want to talk to you about that will solve three problems for your students. Problem number one, a lot of students feel disempowered today. They feel unsure. And I have a program called Three Truths of Self-Empowerment that will set you free, that will help solve that problem for your students. Now, I can't tell you what those three truths are, but I'm going to drop a link to my TEDx talk in the chat as soon as I get off the mic, because that is what my TEDx talk is on, and it's also featured on TED.com. Problem number two. A lot of students have great ideas, but they don't know how to build a creator or personal brand that gets massive visibility. And I can definitely solve that problem for your students. I have a talk called Power Your Ideas for young people that want to build big brands and monetize to six figures. I also have a version of that program called Power Your Research for graduate students and academics. There's also a book called Academic Branding that I just put out last year. And problem number three, a lot of students have big dreams, but negative self beliefs. And the negative self beliefs are holding them back. And I have a program that can solve that problem called Be the Hero of Your Own Story. And it's going to motivate your students to take control of their future and be the architect of their life. Again, my name is Dr. Sheena Howard, and I'm going to give the mic back. Make sure I stay in my 3 minutes because time is important. Thank you so much. If you're watching the recording, check out the TED Talk on TED.com.
We appreciate you, Dr. Howard. Thank you so much. Next up is James Wilkerson, JD, the Associate Dean of Students at Indiana University Southeast and a Title IX coordinator. He is a Kentuckiana native, born in Louisville, Kentucky, raised in New Albany, Indiana. In 2015, James began his role as an advocate for sexual assault prevention and healthy masculinity practices. This role has seen him guest lecture to numerous colleges and Greek life chapters all over the country. He is a very accomplished TEDx speaker. He spoke at TEDx Bloomington in 2021, TEDx Bellarmine U in 2022, TEDx Lake Superior State in 2023. And he's got a column, it's called The Title IX Guy, focuses on matters of sexual assault, masculinity, and bystander intervention. Welcome, James Wilkerson.
Well, good evening and greetings from the Derby City, Louisville, Kentucky, to everyone on the call tonight. So one of the hardest discussions I think to have with our students is about sexual assault prevention. It's difficult to have, but it's an important one to have because try as we might, sexual assault remains a problem on any campus throughout the country. Luckily for you, you have me, the resident Title IX and sexual assault prevention expert at Greek U, to have some of those conversations with your students. And whether it is talking about consent with new fraternity members, whether it's talking about the intricacies of sexual misconduct on college campuses with some of our sorority members, or whether it's a presentation on bystander intervention, all of my presentations aim to do one thing, and that is give our students something engaging, engaging information. And I know you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, how are these topics, these hard topics, how could they possibly be engaging? But see, I believe that these topics don't always have to be a stoic conversation, an uncomfortable conversation where everyone is sitting still. I believe that we can be loud, we can be vibrant, we can get participation, we can laugh a little bit while we are learning these important tools that we need to make our campuses and our chapters a safer place. And that is what I give with all three of those presentations, something engaging, something that uses my own stories as examples. And the feedback comes from the students themselves. I was at Bloomington a few years ago, and I had a young man come up to me and say to me, Mr. Wilkerson, I have been to so many speeches like this before, and this is the best one. And it's the best one because you didn't talk at us, you didn't lecture us, you talked with us. You are one of us, and you know us, and that made a world of difference. And I'm like, hey, tell my agent that so we can get those bookings up, right? I think the feedback is great. The other end of my workshops is working to build better men and help men become the best versions of themselves that they possibly can. In one presentation I have, we talk about toxic behaviors that are so easy to become culture in our chapters, how we can identify what those toxic behaviors are and how we can work together to kind of push back against them. And then in another presentation, we talk about male mental wellness, some of the pressure and the anxiety that we as men carry, and what happens if we don't work to find a positive outlet for those. And of course, we always leave students with action steps on how to do those things. So, Sexual Assault Awareness Month is every April. If you're looking for a speaker to kind of fulfill a Sexual Assault Awareness Month slot, I'm your guy. Give me a ring. I'm going to leave my Instagram handle inside the chat, and there you can see all the TED Talks. You can hear about all the books, and you can keep track of all the things that we're doing as we continue to fight the fight against sexual assault prevention on college campuses.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, James. Very important work. We appreciate that. Eddie, hopefully it's okay time to call on you because students throughout the US have referred to Eddie Francis as very interactive, insightful, inspiring, relatable, and amazing. He's known for his energy and his humor, and Eddie spreads the gospel of ethical and effective leadership. His topics include the leader-follower relationship and followership. It includes personal leadership, personal branding and career prep, leadership through philanthropy, NPHC members' leadership development. Eddie is very well versed in leadership studies and he addresses fraternity and sorority leadership on his podcast. It's called EthoCast. Welcome, Eddie Francis.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike. And how you doing, everyone? Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so here's the deal. All right. I am doing a side hustle thing right now, and that side hustle is doing traffic for an iHeart station. Um, Jackson, Mississippi is having some problems tonight. Lots of accidents. All right. Anyway, so that's neither here nor there. So the thing that I am very passionate about is that there's an actual relationship between the leaders and the followers. And when I talk to students about this, the thing that is an aha moment for them is that the followers actually have the power to lead without having titles. And so, in talking to students, the theoretical framework that I use is called the leader member exchange theory. And we have a lot of fun getting an idea of how students who are members of their chapters who don't have those titles can contribute to making sure that the leaders have exactly what they need to lead the chapters well. And these exchanges are something that I talk about in followership to leadership. There's a talk that I do about personal leadership, and I'm very, very passionate about personal growth and development to benefit those around us, and that is lead by leading you. Students really enjoy that talk because they like the idea that they know that there's something that they can do individually to contribute to the success, not only of their chapters, but to the campus overall. And then probably the presentation has been kind of a surprise for me personally, is one that I do about, believe it or not, philanthropy. And it's called Give Till It's Built. And in talking about philanthropy with students, I take the mystery out of the fact that you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to be rich to engage in charitable giving and to make a difference. But the thing that really resonates with students is that I encourage them to build on a dream, whatever that dream is, and to put their backs into it. And so there is Give Till It's Built. And finally, the presentation I've probably done for a pretty long time is called the Black Greek Success Program, which specifically caters to NPHC. I speak their language. They enjoy hearing my goofball stories about when I was a chapter president and I screwed the chapter up royally. And they like the fact that I take that opportunity to be authentic and to tell them about mistakes as opposed to jumping in front of them with the hero cape. And so I would love to get the opportunity to talk to any of your students. I would love the opportunity to take the mystery out of leadership in talking to them, but then also to introduce them to this really interesting leadership concept of followership and follower power so that anybody can be a leader at any time, anywhere. So I really hope to hear from you. If not, let's just talk one of these days at one of these conferences. I would love to meet you face to face. I'm Eddie Francis. Peace.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Eddie. The link is in the chat if you want to take a look at his bio and programs. Next up, as the founder of Jen on a Jet Plane LLC, Jen Ruiz. creates and shares content that inspires and empowers students to travel more and turn their passion into a business. Jen is a three-time TEDx speaker, a six-time best-selling author, a six-time national award-winning writer. She's also a sister of Delta Phi Epsilon from Florida International University, and she has over 10 years of experience in this field. She's built a loyal and engaged audience of more than 375,000 travelers. Jen's social media content has garnered more than 100 million views, and her memoir, it's called 12 Trips in 12 Months, tells the story of how she quit her job as a lawyer after visiting 41 cities across 11 countries in 1 year. Welcome, Jen Ruiz.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and to hear from all of these incredible speakers. I'm really so proud to be part of this organization. So, as Mike mentioned, I'm Jen from Jen on a Jet Plane, like leaving on a jet plane. And when I think about student well-being, I think about how to give students tools that they'll use beyond the classroom. And I do that through three programs that I'm going to highlight tonight. So, a lot of my work focuses on helping students feel confident, especially in the digital space. From in one of my talks, From Party Pics to Paychecks, helps students shift how they see social media. So, it can actually be a source of opportunities, of job growth, of self expression, instead of a source of constant comparison, stress, and anxiety. And I show them how to shift that to use social media to their benefit so they can feel more in control of their digital presence. Accountability is a big theme of mine in my presentation challenge Accepted. As Mike mentioned, my 12 trips in 12 months challenge was absolutely life-changing, and I use that experience to show students how they can build momentum, use public commitment in positive ways, and achieve meaningful goals together as a team through a group challenge. So whether it's recruitment, philanthropy, or academics, this turns accountability and maybe something that seems like a big mountain that, doesn't really seem exciting to tackle into something that's achievable, collaborative, and just something that is not stressful or top down, but really something that engages the students in a shared goal. And when it comes to belonging, I talk about how organizations can use social media to signal who belongs. This is something that we're seeing more and more globally, right? The people who have the media and who access how you're portraying shows, whether subtly or unintentionally, who it is that's accepted here. So I help organizations use social media as a tool for highlighting voices of their members, show intentionally amplifying their messages, and having that impact both recruitment and retention. So this is why organizations hire me. When students understand that their digital presence is an extension of their leadership, they can make better choices both online and offline. I will also be at NGLA and SGLA in February. I would love to meet you all in person. Please do say hi and come to my session so we can workshop and actually create some social media content there in that time that we have together that you can leave and post right away and hopefully get it to start benefiting you, your organization, and your students individually. I'll also be dropping my LinkedIn in the comments, and you can find me on all socials at Jen on a Jet Plane. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Jen. That's the perfect segue. We're talking about NGLA. Tom Murphy has been recognized as an innovative and progressive leader in the fraternity and sorority industry for nearly 30 years. Most recently, he served as the executive director of Phi Mu Delta fraternity for 17 years. Before Phi Mu Delta, he was an experienced fraternity and sorority advisors. He had positions at Gustavus Adolphus College, Lycoming College, Monmouth University. Tom has been recognized by his peers with the Association of Fraternity and Sorority Advisors, Sue Craft, Distinguished Service Award, and NGLA's Filippi Award, as well as the Gunzler Award. In addition, he has served on the North American Interfraternity Conference's Governing Council, the AFA Foundation Board, and the Board of Directors of the Fraternity Executives Association. Welcome, Tom Murphy.
Hi, everybody. I'm feeling a little remiss that I don't have my PhD or doctorate yet. I felt like for a little while there we were just introducing everybody with doctorates, right? Yeah, I know Eddie's feeling it with me, and it's okay. I didn't go there. I decided to spend most of my time serving on boards, apparently, according to my introduction. So that's where my time was spent. Yeah, so I'm really excited to be joining everybody here tonight. I did not do a PowerPoint presentation. I did, however, work at the Santa's Village just recently, so I'm coming back from the toy manufacturing that I was just recently doing. When I came on to here, my onto Greek University. I was really lucky that Michael was in the market to start some consulting services. So I was the first one brought on, not necessarily focused on speaking, although that is something I have just recently added and I'll talk a little bit about. But most of my focus has been in the consulting realm. From my many travels around the United States, I'll just put it bluntly, and people who know me know I tend to do that. I found that most of the interfraternity councils on college campuses sucked. And we're not very good. And so we try to work a lot with doing work with IFCs on campus, specifically consulting with universities to help them with strategic planning and improving their fraternity communities. From there, I've been really reaching out to work on my own brotherhood journey and sharing that with others. To talk about the investment and what engagement in fraternity and sorority life can really bring to somebody's future, what that looks like. Far too often, we're just having transactional conversations when we join our organizations, and those transactional conversations are not really apparent in the moment that the things we're doing actively every single day are going to build our future. And so that's where I've been spending a lot of my time. I've also been, and I'm happy to see Keith is on here because I've been working with his organization, but been doing a lot of work with some other national fraternities in the growth and expansion world. So we've been helping other organizations to grow specifically, and frankly, a lot of them being smaller organizations that I have a lot of experience working with and understanding. And so if you're out there looking for somebody to help either on your campus from a growth standpoint or even from a national perspective, that is something I'm very passionate about and want to see. I want to see more men joining fraternities. I think this is the most important thing that happened in my leadership experience in college. I could have chosen to sit in my dorm room for 4 years and did really well in my classes, but ultimately where I became the leader that I became, how I became the leader I am today is because of my experience with my fraternity. And everything good in my life that I have had up until this point has happened because of my fraternity. And so it's time for me to give back. Please, if you're interested, reach out to me. Like I said, I'm doing a little bit more. I'm not working as much on campuses. I have started to speak specifically on the engagement. Just spoke at AFA on this. And spoke at my own alma mater about a month ago on they want a receipt. And this is something I've been doing with another speaker, Maria Smith. We've been going around the country and we're hoping to bring that to more campuses, speaking to students about helping them transition from a transactional engagement level to one that is very transformational.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tom, for everything that you do. We appreciate you. Next up is Allison Hornung, a graduate of the University of Rhode Island with degrees in global business management, German, and human development and family sciences. She's also a sister of Sigma Delta Tau. Allie is Miss Rhode Island 2024. Hello. She has been a passionate childhood cancer advocate since the age of 12. Allie is also the founder of Glimmer of Hope Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that shows girls and boys their strength and beauty through the donation of bald dolls and provides hope to families who are battling childhood cancer. Welcome, Allie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I have loved hearing everyone's stories. As Mike said, I'm Allie. I'm the founder and executive director of Glimmer of Hope. That is my proudest title, although I also served as Miss Rhode Island 2024. And I want to share a story with you all. So a week before my sophomore year of college, I lost one of my closest friends, an honorary little sister, Ella, to acute lymphoblastic leukemia when she was only 14 years old. When I lost Ella, I walked around campus every single day feeling completely lost and feeling not invisible, but feeling like my grief was invisible to other people. A few months later, out of my college dorm, I actually founded Glimmer of Hope Foundation as a passion project to continue Ella's legacy and to help me deal with my own grief. And I never imagined that I would be sitting here at 25 years old saying that that is my full-time job. Glimmer of Hope, we have had the honor of sending over 1,000 American Girl dolls inspired by Ella's wish for American Girl to create a bald doll. We've done photo shoots and we have raised over $1 million for childhood cancer initiatives and for families around the world. Preceding my passion project of Glimmer of Hope, I am a proud alumna of Sigma Delta Tau at the University of Rhode Island, and I also served as a vice president of philanthropy and service on Pan-Hellenic Council. And I'll never forget how I stepped into that role very uncomfortably, not knowing anyone on Pan-Hellenic Council and feeling like my mission there was to break traditions and break barriers. And I did just that. And we were able to raise $200,000 that Greek week, which to date is the most that URI has ever fundraised during Greek Week. And I did that through mobilizing storytelling and mobilizing non-leaders and leaders within organizations. So what I do through my keynote, which is turning pain into purpose, is I work with students to connect them back to their why and then give them the tools to lead with impact. That doesn't always have to be loud and starting a nonprofit and starting something amazing, because we need to mobilize our non-leaders as well. I think one of the main problems on our college campuses is that grief is everywhere, but no one is talking about it. I actually had the privilege to speak at the University of Delaware a couple of months ago, and I had a student message me after and tell me that she wasn't planning on going to the talk because one of her best friends had died by suicide that morning, but her friends had convinced her to go to the talk, and she was really glad that she did because she realized that she was going to be okay. And I realized in that moment that if that was the only thing I did, if I just felt made one person feel like they were going to be okay, then my mission was accomplished. So every student is going through something. Maybe it's the death of a loved one or the loss of identity or a breakup, but our students, they can't show up as leaders if they've never been permission to feel that grief and had permission to feel broken. When I was on Panhellenic Council, I changed tradition, which is very, very uncomfortable for students, but that's what I love to talk about, how to teach them how to use their voice, even when it disrupts the norm, how to build purpose-driven events and rewrite traditions that reflect the values that we say we believe in and why we say we joined a chapter. A lot of our leaders, especially within Greek life, are exhausted. The members are checked out, especially when it comes to philanthropy, and they just want to feel connected. So what I teach and the tools that I give are how to mobilize your members around something that matters and bring your chapter members back to their why, which might not be focused around philanthropy, but how do we promote, the cause and going back to their why and create purpose within a chapter. When I speak, I don't talk at the students. I speak with them. And, they might laugh, they might cry, but they walk away knowing that their story matters and their grief doesn't disqualify them from achieving big things. That's something that I really felt when I was going through my own grief, that I wouldn't be able to accomplish anything because I had lost my purpose in life. But now I have found my purpose, and I want to teach your students how to turn their pain into purpose, break traditions, mobilize their members, and lead with courage when their life doesn't go as planned. So I'm going to be dropping my Calendly link in the chat, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you so much, Allie. We appreciate that. Well done. Next up is Trey Bryant, a college football player with dreams of playing in the NFL when he suffered a traumatic knee injury, tearing his ACL, MCL, both medial and lateral meniscus and patellar tendon, all in one snap. His life changed in an instant, and he had to figure out a way to reinvent himself. Trayvon's educational, professional, and athletic leadership experiences have allowed him to develop different concepts and perspectives on how to effectively lead through adversity and opposition. Trayvon uses his Division I football experience to motivate and challenge those who have faced any level of difficulty or challenge through their position of leadership. Welcome, Trayvon.
How's it going, everybody? How we doing? How we doing? It's good to see these beautiful faces, man. I'm so happy to be here. Just want to start off by saying, I think one of the biggest blessings that we have in life and something that we often take for granted is the ability to turn back home, right? Turning back home safely at the end of the day. Every day we walk out of our house and we think about the problems and issues and the things that are going on in life. And when we return home, we forget to give thanks for that. And so that's something that I just want to say. And I'm happy to see you all here. And so with saying that, I just want to transition kind of a little bit into my story again, as Mike said, right? Having the dreams of making it to the NFL, I grew up in a single parent home where my father was inconsistent in my life. And everyone around me had their father. The community loved me. My teachers loved me. I was a great student, but I found myself questioning myself as what was wrong with me? What did I do wrong for my dad not to want to be in my life? And so I said, well, you know what? I'll make it to the NFL with the hopes that that would change the financial situation for my family, but also bring my father back into my life. Made it to the University of New Hampshire, playing Division I football, set some records, became the strongest athlete pound for pound, set that record in 2016, which I still hold today. Became the first two-time team captain, University of New Hampshire's history. And going into my senior year, had a huge knee injury. And I found myself asking why? Why me? I did everything right. I showed up on time. I did all the correct workouts. Why me, God? And I couldn't understand why me. And so I kind of gave up. I lost my drive. I lost my vision. And I kind of gave up. And I said, this may be the failure that my father seen years ago. And that was the reason why he didn't participate in my life. And so I found myself battling through that mental challenge of understanding what my self-worth was versus what I thought was going to make my self-worth what my father would want it to be in order to be into my life. And so I was doing a TikTok live, so you'll know my handle is talking with Trey. And so I spent hours and hours talking to myself in the car. I was going through my injury recovery, just trying to understand what I was going through. And I was doing a TikTok live where I was talking about persistence and overcoming adversity. And there was a guy on there who shared that he had just lost his girlfriend to a car accident. And he started saying kind of some suicidal comments and saying he didn't want to be there anymore. And, we tried to give him some motivation and he disappeared. So I was like, oh my God, what's happening to this guy, right? He disappeared. He didn't talk anymore in the chat. And then about 3 days later, I posted another video. He commented and said, "Hey Trey, this is so and so from the other night live. I just want to let you know, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm still here." And that it was at that moment that I realized that the same situation that I was dealing with, right, when I was in that suicidal ideation moment, when I was laying on that ground, holding my knee from that injury, that situation that I thought was all about me was for a bigger purpose. And so when we talk about talking to your students at your campus, I'm the person that comes in and pulls the letters off of their chest, right? I want to talk to your heart. I talk to the individual. And I think that this is something that makes me unique without having a background in Greek life at all. One of my doubts going into this when Mike brought me in was that, I wouldn't get selected to speak at any of your universities. But what I had to realize is that my superpower, my strength is being able to talk to the human, to the person, because no matter where your letters get you, no matter what organization, what job they get you in, because you're a part of that brotherhood or that sisterhood, if you don't have the character to sustain you there, you're not gonna find any success. So three of my programs that I found a lot of success in speaking about on college campuses. One is igniting intrinsic motivation and leadership, and this one is just talking about building motivation that's rooted in purpose, right? That's rooted in purpose. Another one is the call after the play, leading through adversity, right? So how do you lead through adversity when something happens in your life that has nothing to do with what you have going on with your brothers or your sisters, and how do you not allow that to impede on what you're trying to accomplish within your fraternity or sorority? And lastly, the one that I just did at UNH, University of New Hampshire, back in October, embracing authenticity and breaking societal pressures. And this is just focusing on values versus validation, right? What are your values? Are you doing what you're doing for validation? How is your organization setting themselves apart? One of the main questions that I asked UNH at the end was that if the university decided to take your chapter off this campus today, what would the university be missing with your chapter gone? And no one could tell me anything. No one raised their hand. No one. And so it was at that moment that I knew that those groups of kids, they were not doing enough. The things that whoever founded their organization, they weren't holding up to that standard. And so I was able to talk to them about being able to be a little bit more consistent and being intentional about what it is that they're trying to accomplish and defining those goals, so that if our chapter were to be taken off of this university, here are the things that we would be missing. Here are the things that this university would say, we need this group back because we're missing this within the community, making true impact over image. And so going into our chapter or our last book that Greek you just dropped, if you haven't read it yet, go ahead and get the book. Chapter 2 is my chapter talking about impact over image, right? Where you're really focusing on making a true impact, right? Social media is a huge part. A lot of our kids are getting caught up. There it is. A lot of our kids are getting caught up and wanting to look like they have it going on. Maybe we can go viral on TikTok to get people to come into our space and to, big up our recruitment numbers. But what's the impact are you truly making? When people become a part of your organization, if they aren't getting what you promised them, they don't see themselves growing within that, you're going to start to lose people. You're not going to be able to retain members, right? So how can we build our leadership skills, get to know each other on a personal level so that we can start speaking to each person's strengths to build their leadership up and give them some autonomy within the group in order to make them feel like they have a space where they can grow and see themselves being successful, and so that we can retain members and continue to recruit members to our fraternity and our sororities that make this world go around and make this place so great. And so if you ever need somebody to come to your campus to wake your students up and really pull the letters off of their chest and get them to look at themselves, this is the person that you need to call. Trayvon Bryant, talking with Trey. Mike is going to share the handle inside of the chat, and I would love to connect with you. Thank you all so much.
Excellent work, Trayvon. You could read the phone book, and I think we would all listen. So don't you worry about that. Okay, don't you worry. All right, next up, with 2 decades of experience in technology, Ben Gold has honed his expertise in enterprise level AI solutions for the past 5 years. Specifically, he has leveraged artificial intelligence to analyze tens of thousands of customer conversations, providing invaluable insights for enterprise clients. Ben's focus took a new direction in 2023 because of the explosive growth in generative AI tools. He took one of his passions of helping people defining their career paths and finding their dream jobs and combined it with his knowledge of generative AI to help hundreds of people succeed in their career goals. Let's hear it for Ben Gold.
Awesome. Well, it's great to be here. And of course, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and no presentation would be complete unless I was able to give you guys some information about the latest and greatest in AI. So I was debating, how am I going to share with you what I do? I have two programs. One is on using AI to grow your fraternity and sorority, and another one on using ChatGPT to find your next job. So I don't know if you heard, but 2 weeks ago, OpenAI declared code red because of a tool that Google has launched. And I don't know if you've heard of this. This is called Notebook LM. It is an amazing tool. And so what I did was I put the two different projects, I literally copied and pasted from the website. And with Notebook LM, you can get a podcast, you can get a video overview, an infographic, slide deck. You can do almost anything with multimedia. So I thought the best way to show you what I do is to use these tools and to help me to explain the programs that I have. So the first one, and when we're talking about using AI to grow your fraternity, it was able to understand very clearly that when we talk about using AI, it can help you with your internal operations, meaning there's so many ways, especially now with the improvements of using data-driven voting, of streamlining your management. There's just these tools are there. The second is in terms of growing, in terms of getting your vision out there, of helping you to create content, of explaining the value propositions and why you're different. The tools are everything from text-to-text, image, video creation are really powerful, but also assessing member compatibility or really helping you evaluate your recruitment strategies. I do want to show you that if I were to want to put, you want to see what this PowerPoint looks like, it is really impressive where it's able to understand, again, these are the dilemmas that over 50% of, I mean, I'll show you a couple of words. It's just is able to articulate very nicely a lot of the issues that organizations face or that people have. My second example, find your next job with ChatGPT, I want to say is right now, when we're talking especially about your fraternity and sorority members that are juniors and seniors, you need to use AI not only to find your next job, but to keep it. And so my programs will help you to understand how to build your career strategy, how to build your resume, how to network, as well as interview and apply for jobs. So those are my programs. I am very excited to share with AI. It is important because this technology, if you don't master it, you will not find a job going out. Thank you.
Incredible work, Ben. Every time I spend time with Ben, I learn new tools and new ways to do things with AI. It's absolutely incredible. Well done. As a higher ed professional for close to 15 years, Edson O'Neill was asked by one of his students, have you ever thought about going into speaking and speaking at other colleges and universities? That student believed that the information that Edson was providing his students on campus was very valuable, and other students at different campuses across the country needed to hear his message. So, with his extensive experience supporting areas such as admissions, advising, student success, student government, fraternity and sorority life, student activities, and now career services, he is here to support you and your endeavors of creating a strong and inclusive community. Higher ed, let's go, Edson.
What's going on, peoples? I'm very privileged to be here. I've always thanked Mike for giving me the opportunity. I'm with an amazing speaking team. It's been a pleasure, and you all could have chosen to be anywhere, and you all are here with us tonight. So I thank you. To really talk more about what Mike said in my intro about the student saying if I should speak out of campuses. I remember like it was yesterday, we're having a conversation at an event, and he like literally told me like you should do this. Like other schools need to hear your message because what you telling me is so valuable. So other schools need to hear this, right? So a couple weeks later, I brought a speaker to campus, and at the end of that speaking engagement, several of my students came up to me and said, Edson, this speaker was great. He's been saying the same thing that you've been telling us, and he reiterated it. And I'm saying in my head, so it took me to bring a speaker for y'all to finally understand and hear what I've been telling you all this time. I say that because as higher professionals, I'm pretty sure you say the same things to your students all the time, and they probably go through one and out the other. So when you bring a speaker to reiterate the things that you're telling them, I'm your guy. Okay, I can do that for you all, right? Through my presentation workshops. This has been quite a bit of a journey for me as my role in speaking, and it really started with my vulnerability talk that I've been really gracious to speak about my story of dealing with mental health, suicide, ideation. I'm really sharing my story with the audience to really help students understand that they're not alone in the journey. And that, even though you might think that the world's falling down, it's not. So when I share my story, I take off my mask and I provide a space for our students to take off theirs. And I speak with the students about leaning into their vulnerability and how when leaning into your vulnerability will help you gain your true superpowers and how vulnerability is a strong leadership trait that individuals don't want to lean into. People see vulnerability as a weakness, and I want to train students and the audience or whoever hears my talk that vulnerability is a humongous strength. I talk about finding a superpower. I actually use superheroes in my presentation. I'm a big superhero fan. So I bring vulnerability, superheroes, leadership. I bring it all together in a way that's relatable to the students to provide an atmosphere to really empower our students to let them know that they're not alone, that, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a very famous Spider-Man quote. And it's their responsibility as Greek members of the community to really bring about good, to shape the community, and to really help empower the community to be great. So I talk about that in my vulnerability presentation to share with the audience. Another talk that I'm very proud of is my talk about the history of stepping and strolling. As an advisor, I noticed that there's been a lot of miscommunication when it comes to the different councils, when it comes to the history of stepping and strolling, when it comes to MPHC, and when it comes to saluting with MGC. So in my talk, I actually talk about the history of stepping and strolling to educate the masses on where it came from, where its foundation came from, and why stepping and strolling it is what it is today. As I discuss the history of stepping and strolling, I then go into the importance of council collaboration and how influential it is and how important it is for all the councils to work together. And during this talk, I actually get in the space to talk about opportunities and ways that they can have conversations on their campus. And after this talk, students come up to me and they state, wow, Edson, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for educating me on history of stepping and strolling. I didn't know that it went that deep into it. I didn't really know the background, the context. You really helped me understand that we need to work more with the councils. We need to provide better education. So that's what the students will get out of my talk with that in regards to the history of stepping and strolling. And then another talk that I'm also proud of is my talk about letters to legacy, reclaiming your why. This talk stems from me noticing students joining their Greek letter organization and losing their why, losing their passion, not giving their all, and giving up to a point to where they're declining their letters, they're denouncing, and they want no part of it. So I speak to students about some of the reasons that may cause students to get there. And throughout the presentation, I give them ways and avenues of how they can overcome these situations and how they can reclaim that why again. All right. Because Greek letter organization is not just something you can just join and be a part of. Like you go through something called a ritual, and not many individuals go through that. That ritual binds us together that not many individuals can be a part of. So I remind them about the importance of the ritual and how that's sacred to our organizations and how that should be a binding to really help us to grow, not only within ourselves, but to grow each other as a community and organization. So I would love to come to your campus. I would love to share my word, my experiences, my love and passion for students to teach them how to be vulnerable, educating them on the history of stepping and strolling, talking about how to reclaim your why, talking about resiliency and empowerment. Trey and I have a talk that we just started a couple years ago called Owning Your Ish. The truth shall set you free, where we talk about our stories dealing with resiliency, and how we overcame that and how owning it really allowed us to be the men we are today. Eddie and I, what's up, Frat? We're developing a talk to better support MPHC and MGC members. That's coming soon. We're actually going to be presenting it at SGLA and NGLA. So if you're at those conferences, come check us out. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd love to come to your campus. Give me the opportunity and space to bring my experiences, my expertise, and my love and passion for students to your campus. You won't regret it, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Edson. Much appreciated. Well done. Very nice. Having worked for both a fraternity headquarters and professionally on campuses for over a decade, Corey Bosco has worked with communities of all sizes across most of the United States and Canada. While currently working as the director of fraternity and sorority life at Bradley University, Corey has also helped create large-scale learning strategies, having served as the conference chair and also the conference leadership team for the Northeast Greek Leadership Association's annual conference. Corey's drive is to help fraternity and sorority members recognize the potential that they have to be transformative leaders, change thinkers, and tone setters for their own campus and beyond. Welcome, Corey.
Hey, thank you all. It's always fun sitting through these conversations and really hearing all the different perspectives that people bring to the table. But at the core of it, I think we can all agree there is a transformative power at the core of fraternity and sorority life, and I truly believe our organizations can accomplish that when they're given the right tools. And so, when I approached Mike about coming to Greek University, what I brought forward was the concept of packaged workshops, packaged conference pieces, things that as a staff member that is fully loaded, an office of one barely can keep up with the workload, you can come to me and say, hey, I need this done for our community. How are we going to get there? And I can present some options. One of the big things that I do when I put these together is I fully tailor all of my programs to your campus. So we will have conversations about, how to really get the things that you want to come across, not just in achieving those leadership or those learning objectives, but also in where you are taking your strategic growth for your community. My perspective and analysis on Greek life comes from many different angles, whether it was my first night joining the fraternity, watching over half my chapter get arrested, to becoming chapter president right out of my new member education program, to living as a closeted bisexual man in my fraternity, in my university experience, working for headquarters, then working on the university side as a Greek advisor, while also helping run the Northeast Greek Leadership Association. I was on the team that brought the NGLA to the full virtual conference during COVID. I ran all the Zoom scenes behind the scenes. So my skill sets that I can bring to these packages and these setups are a vast toolbox of options for you, and what we can explore. So really, I'm just excited to have the opportunity to work with more than just my one campus that I'm on right now. I love having an impact on students' lives across the country. I will be speaking at AFLV Central this year in one of the Ed Block programs, specifically on creating LGBTQI inclusion and belonging, from the lens of an NIC fraternity, but still open to the perspectives of different councils. And so definitely encourage you to check me out there. And again, thank you all for having this space and this time.
So versatile. Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And my favorite new speaker, and last but certainly not least, Dr. Lyman Montgomery is a best-selling author, international speaker, and leadership coach with more than 3 decades of experience helping leaders and organizations align faith, purpose, and performance. He's also the founder and creator of Sacred Greeks. This is a faith-based movement and media platform dedicated to exploring the intersection of Christianity and Black Greek letter organizations. Through Sacred Greeks, Dr. Montgomery brings together teaching, testimonies, and cultural insights to challenge all of the myths, redeem traditions, and empower believers to see that faith and Greek life can coexist. His mission is simple yet profound to help others discover that true brotherhood, sisterhood, and purpose are ultimately found in faith. Dr. Montgomery, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, let me just say this. Man, it's amazing. I'm just sitting here taking notes and listening to all the great speakers. I apologize. My voice is a little raspy. I'm getting over a sinus infection. And so, again, thank you for being here. And one of the things that is very important to me is that of collaboration. And when it comes to understanding what I bring to the conversation, I like to call it a conversation more so than the presentation. Because let's face it, today when people hear about Black Greek life, they often think of social events, step shows, strolling, and the negative noise often heard on the yard and quite frankly within the media. But the truth is this. Greek life, especially within Divine Nine, has always been something deeper. It's been a leadership pipeline, a service engine, a place where students found identity, structure, and belonging when the campus climbing, let's be honest, did not always make room for us. I delivered 3 signature programs based on my new book, Sacred Not Sinful, which strengthens recruitment, retention, and chapter culture. The first program, Understanding the Sacred Side of Greek Life. I address one of the biggest barriers to recruitment and retention right now, the rise of denouncing and renouncement, especially on social media narrative that pressure faith-based students to choose between their spiritual beliefs and their letters, especially within Divine Nine organization. By using vivid storytelling and historical insight, I show what many people miss, that most Greek letter organizations, not just Divine Nine, were built on a moral backbone shaped by Judeo Christian values similar to many early American universities. That foundation points to service, character, scholarship, discipline, and responsibility. And when students understand the legacy and the purpose underneath the letters that they wear, they gain clarity, belonging increases, and faith-based members are less likely to disengage or walk away in silence. The second program I want to talk about is Bridging the Divide, Faith, Culture, and the Future of Black Greek Life. This is about giving students and advisors the language and the tools to navigate identity and value conversations with maturity. So accountability increases, problems get addressed early, and students stay connected instead of checking out. Lastly, I want to talk about Reclaim the Fire, intake with purpose, passion, and the pride of being a member of Divine Nine organization. As an active alumni member of, I believe, the greatest fraternity in the world, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and a former campus advisor, I focus on value-based recruitment and intake that attract mission-aligned members and build a culture that lasts, reducing risk and strengthening retention through AI, SWOT, gap analysis, and data-driven recruitment strategies that actually work. If you want to hire me, trust me, get in contact with Mike. He has all my details. Thank you for listening. And as the other one said before me, I totally approve of this message.
Way to wrap it up. Now you know why I saved the best for last, right? Now it all makes sense. Dr. Montgomery, you are one of a kind. Thank you so much. I'm just
Thank you,
completely
Mike.
blown away. I'm completely blown away at this team. You're all amazing. You're all so talented and you bring so much to the table. I'm so proud of this team, and I firmly believe they are the best in our industry. So please keep us in mind in 2026 for your speaking and consulting needs. I want everybody to have a wonderful holiday season with your family and friends. That's really what's most important here. And as we look forward to 2026, just please contact me. You can reach me at bookings@greekuniversity.org to work with any of these wonderful speakers and consultants. We look forward to seeing you on your campus or your conference very, very soon. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great and wonderful night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.